So I. Richards is one of the major new critics. If you try to have a look at his career as a critic, you can call him as a pioneer of Anglo-American criticism. And he basically provided theoretical foundation to criticism. And you just can say that this is the theoretical foundation on the basis of which you can make verbal analysis. So the verbal analysis that was built in criticism, for that he provides a kind of theoretical foundation, right? And if you remember, though he has written a number of books, but two main books are Practical Criticism and Principles of Literary Criticism. So these are the two major books written by him. Practical Criticism and Principles of Literary Criticism, right? Now try to understand. He basically tried to provide, scientific base to criticism. Criticism, it has been dealt in a different ways by different critics. But I. Richards, he basically tried to provide scientific base to criticism. And he basically uses psychology to understand the nature of literature. Now this is very simple. He basically uses psychology to understand the nature of literature, and also he shows how it works on human mind, how literature works on human mind. Do you feel that you can be impacted by the reading of any book? Do you feel that you can be impacted by a very good song? After you listen to a good song, do you feel that you can be impacted? Do you feel that you can be impacted by having a look at a beautiful portrait? So this is psychological discipline. So when I say that I. Richards, he tried to give scientific base to criticism, here he uses psychology to understand the nature of literature and how it works on human mind. To simplify, you just can say that he applies psychology to understand the nature of literature, and he also tries to show how it works on human mind. Right? Now try to understand, when you talk about human mind, it is what? It is a system of impulses. Getting my point?
Yes.
Little bit psychology you will have to apply. So I hope you all are familiar with Sigmund Freud and general psychology. I mean the basics of psychology. When you talk about human mind, human mind is a system of impulses. Right? Now, what is an impulse? How can you define an impulse? Number one, try to understand human mind is a system of impulses. Now, what is an impulse? An impulse is mind's response to some stimulus. What is an impulse? It is mind's response to some stimulus with a tendency to react, with a tendency of action. So that is a major thing. Again, try to understand. I.A. Richards, he uses psychology to understand the nature of literature. It may be in the form of any poem, it may be in the form of any short story, it may be in the form of any novel, it may be in the form of any other song. So, the thing is that he uses psychology to understand the nature of literature, and he tries to show how it works on human mind, how literature works on human mind, how the reading of a poem works on human mind, how the reading of a novel can work on human mind, how the reading of any text can work on human mind, right? Then you know that human mind is a system of impulses. So many impulses are there. Then an impulse is mind's response to some stimulus with a tendency to reaction. With a tendency to reaction. Now try to understand stimulus. Say for example, if you are moving on the road and suddenly you see a snake. So what will be the response of your mind? You will jump suddenly. Okay? You open the screen of your television or your mobile or your laptop. Suddenly you find a very horrific and terrific picture, maybe in the form of a ghost with a skeleton or a witch, a horrific picture. What will be the reaction of mind? There will be a huge cry of terror. Stimulus. So mind is a system of impulses, right? Then an impulse is the response of mind to some stimulus. So the picture that you see on the screen, this is stimulus and mind reacts to it. I hope you are getting the point.
Yes, sir.
Suddenly you feel some poisonous gas and you feel its smell. So there will be some message from your mind. There will be some reaction, from your mind. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting it or not?
Yes, sir.
So, again I repeat, Richards basically uses psychology to understand the nature of literature, and then he shows how it works on human mind, how the reading of literature works on human mind, right? We can understand it in a simple way, and that is, human mind is a system of impulses. Now what is an impulse? An impulse is mind's response to some stimulus with a tendency of action. If you see a snake suddenly, the response of the mind will be that you will jump. So this is the reaction. Clear? Now try to understand human mind. It never remains in a state of poise. At any point of time, do you feel that now your mind is in a state of poise? When I say poise, it simply means when it's absolutely calm. It's not in a state of agitation. Human mind is a battleground. We keep thinking so many things. Is it or not?
Yes.
We feel irritation here, disappointment here. So mind is the real thing. We blame the eyes, we blame the heart. The heart is not to be blamed. Something that is to be blamed is the mind, because the mind does the work. You remove the mind from here. The heart, it will keep working, the lungs will keep working, you will become unconscious, you will go to coma. Then your heart cannot react to any beautiful work. So this is the mind that plays the decisive role and that plays the major role. My point is, in fact, this is the point of I.A. Richards. Human mind, it never remains in a state of poise. Poise simply means when you have absolute calmness. When there is no agitation in your mind. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Just coming to the point. Human mind, it never remains in a state of poise. Why? Because it is always agitated by so many impulses. So many impulses are there in human mind. We keep thinking about something or other thing. Right? So human mind, it never remains in a state of poise simply because it is always agitated by so many impulses, and I have already told you that mind is a system of impulses. It is made of so many impulses, right? So human mind, it never remains in a state of poise because it is always, every time, agitated by so many impulses, right? Now herein begins the work of literature. Richard says that the value of poetry lies in arranging all those impulses and provide a state of peace. Provide a state where you feel that now there is nothing in your mind, it is absolutely, calm. There is no agitation in your mind. I hope you all hear songs.
Yes.
Sometimes when you hear your favorite song, you are so much impacted by it that you become forgetful of your problems, pains and the world. You get lost in the world of that song. So this is what, at one point of time your mind gets a state of poise, absolute calmness, when there is no agitation. The same thing can happen when you see a movie. When you see a movie and you are lost in the world of the movie, it may be a romantic movie, it may be a thriller movie, it may be a crime movie, it may be any kind of movie. So when you see the movie, you become one with the characters of that movie. You become one with the location of that movie. I mean, you become forgetful about your own world. Is it or not?
Yes.
Somehow you can relate willing suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
Willing suspension of disbelief. For the time being, you become a very part and parcel of that movie. You identify yourself with the characters of the movie, and for the time being, you feel that you are living in the world of the characters of that movie. Say for example, if from the department you are going to Delhi in a theatre, and you have already decided that you are going to see the movie Antony and Cleopatra. So, while on your journey from Meerut to Delhi to the theatre, you will take this journey like your journey from India to Egypt. Is it or not? You will be feeling one with the characters. I mean, you will be feeling one with Antony, with Cleopatra, with other characters.
Yes.
If you feel so, it means literature is one. If you are lost in the world of a song, it means the song is working on your mind psychologically. If you are reading a book, and when you feel that while reading the book, you have achieved a state of poise in your mind, it means the book is working on psychologically. And that happens. When you see any domestic scene in a movie, you start weeping.
Yes.
Why? You know that this is the fake representation, the characters are not real, this is only fiction. You know the reality, even then you start weeping. Why? Because for the time being, you forget your own entity. For the time being, you become one with that movie, with the characters of the movie, with the location of that movie. Getting my point? So, I. Richard says that human mind, you know, it never remains in a state of poise. Why? Because it is every time agitated by so many impulses. Now, the value of great poetry lies in arranging all those impulses and provide a state of poise to them. Now here remember one thing, he uses the word poetry inclusively for all types of literature. Though he uses the word poetry, but note it down, he uses the word poetry inclusively for all types of literature. I mean, it is applicable on a short story or a novel or a drama or on other types of literature. Is it clear? So number one, he applies psychology to understand the nature of literature and he shows how literature works on human mind. Right? And then he gives the example of human mind by saying that mind is a system of impulses. Right? And it never remains in a state of poise. So the value of great poetry lies in arranging all those impulses which are in human mind and providing a state of poise. If by reading any book you feel that now your mind has become absolutely calm, there is no agitation in your mind, you have become forgetful of all the problems, all the burdens of your life, it means literature is working on you. It means this is the good piece of literature. It means this is the highest piece of literature. And it happens whenever you hear any song. It happens whenever you read any good piece of literature. Is it not? Yes. I'm not talking about the new songs, but if you hear the old classical songs, matchless words. One word is equal to 10 crore rupees. Then you can evaluate the value of one song. I'm talking about one word of a song, 10 crore rupees. If you are very much agitated, you feel that the things are not going in your own way. You are frustrated, dejected, disappointed and dejected. You have decided to commit suicide. You are on the way because you have to jump into the river. Suddenly your ears hear the voice. आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना, आज फिर मरने का. I can give you in writing, I mean this is a guarantee that you will drop the idea of committing suicide. सुनना. आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना, आज फिर मरने. अब उसके लिए first you need to make a plan to commit suicide. Then you will have to go, you will have to search a river in your locality. Then you will have to make some arrangement that when you are on the way there should be someone deployed with the same song. Is that clear? So, psychologically, literature works on mind. Clear? Then in his book, Principles of Literary Criticism, he basically makes difference between two uses of language. Language is used in two ways. He talks about two uses of language. The first one is the scientific and the other one is emotive. So in his book, The Principles of Literary Criticism, he talks about two uses of language, the scientific use of language and the emotive use of language. Fine? Then he says that scientific language is referential. and emotive language is connotative. Scientific language is preferential and emotive language is connotative. See, you can use words according to your own desire. You can use words for the sake of the reference they generate. And you can use the same words for the sake of certain emotions. Getting my point? You can use the words for the sake of, reference. Means the original meaning they promote, the literal meaning they carry. And you can use the same words to show some attitude or to show certain emotions and feelings. Getting the point? So words can be used in different ways. They can be used for the sake of reference, and they can be used to arouse certain emotion, to give way to certain attitude, to give way to certain, feeling. Right? So, scientific language is referential and emotive language is connotative. I hope you understand the meaning of connotative. Two words are there, denotation and connotation. Denotation and connotation. Denotation and connotation. So denotation is the literal meaning. It refers to the real meaning. Connotation is something implied. Connotation is something metaphorical. Say for example, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. And miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So focus on the word sleep. The literal meaning is the sleep that we all enjoy at the time of night, maybe during the day sometimes. Metaphorical meaning, the implied meaning is death. I hope you are getting the point. And miles to go before I sleep. So the referential meaning is that the poet is somehow at a distance from his home, and he can say that he has to travel miles before he can go to sleep at his home. And miles to go before I sleep. So miles to go, metaphorically, it refers to the duties and the responsibilities which the poet is supposed to do before the sleep. The sleep is the last sleep. I hope you are getting the point.
Yes.
So words you can use for the sake of reference, for the sake of the original meaning they carry, and you can use the words for the sake of the attitude, to show some attitude or to show certain emotion. Right? Today he seems to be on fire. What is the literal meaning? And what is the metaphorical meaning? Bumrah is on fire today. So it does not mean that Bumrah is walking on fire. No. Today is very aggressive and he is taking wicket after wicket. He is unplayable today. It has been raining cats and dogs. So what is the literal meaning? Cats and dogs are falling from the sky. Connotation is it has been raining heavily. Getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we can use words for two purposes. For reference, the real reference that the word carries, or for emotions, to arouse certain, other meaning, implied, meaning. Right? So, scientific language is referential, emotive language is connotative. So, denotation and connotation both are clear. Hmm. When I have given you the example of sleep, so the sleep, natural sleep, this is denotation, the real meaning. Okay? And the other implied meaning, that is the metaphorical meaning, that has given way to certain other feeling or meaning or emotion, that is connotation. Connotation. Fine? Then he says that scientific language is literal and poetic language is figurative. Science uses language literally and poetry uses language figuratively. Say for example the word toad. Toad. In scientific language, toad refers to an object with rough skin, maybe some poisonous gland, living in water or living around the marshy area. In scientific language, toad refers to an object. That is the poem of Philip Clark. In one of the poems of Philip Clark, toad refers to the monotonous life. It refers to the border. Getting my point?
Yes.
Rose. Scientifically, rose refers to a flower with certain red petals and a green stem. And this green color is due to chlorophyll and this one and that one. I mean, this is only an object. Figuratively, rose as a symbol of beauty. Rose is a symbol of beauty. Is that clear? So, science uses language literally and poetry uses language figuratively or metaphorically. Is that clear?
Yes.
Then the other difference is that, science makes statements and poetry makes pseudo statements. Now a statement is something which is proved by its truth. And a pseudo statement is something which cannot be proved by truth. I say, what is the difference? See my tone. Okay, what is the difference? To you the meaning may be there is no difference. Suppose I put a question before you. I answer it, then you answer. I feel that. What do you say? The same words. I mean the same meaning I have given in different words. So I can ask, what is the difference? So what I am trying to say? I am trying to say that there is no difference. What is the difference? She is not a fool. Meaning? Meaning? She is intelligent. Is it true?
Yes.
I am saying she is not a fool. What I am trying to say? I am trying to say that she is intelligent. She is not intelligent. She is not rational. Is that clear? Paul Deman, he had also made somehow the same difference between, the literal use and emotive. Fine? So words they convey certain different meanings, applied meaning. And the purpose of poetic language is not simple. The purpose of poetic language is to convey some implied meaning. The purpose of the language of science is very simple. It has to give references. It has to give true facts. But the purpose of the language of poetry is something different. It has a specific purpose. Its purpose is to give a different meaning. Come here tomorrow and you'll find me a grey old man. Come here tomorrow and you'll find me a grey old man. So grey, it refers to two meanings. I may be serious and I may be inside the brain. Fine?
Yes.
So poetic language is different. Poetry uses language for a different purpose. And its main purpose is to evoke certain emotion. Or to give way to some implied meaning, implied emotion, or implied human idea. Is that clear?
Yes.
Actually, I.A. Richards, he felt that poetry has an aesthetic as well as moral value. Right? Earlier he talks about impulses and human mind. He says that human mind is a system of impulses. Now he talks about two types of impulses. Human mind has two types of impulses. Number one, appetencies. Number two, aversions. Appetencies are the desires. Aversions are dislikes. What is the preference of human mind? Human mind prefers appetencies to aversions. Is it or not?
Yes.
Human mind prefers appetencies to aversions. It prefers desires to dislikes. Right? Now, normal appetencies are biological needs like eating, drinking, sleeping, and satisfying libido feelings. These are the normal biological appetencies or desires. I.A. Richards says that literature is an elevating desire. Literature is a kind of elevating appetency. And it basically provides a state of poise that results in some grand experience, that results in some edifying, or that results in some elevating experience. All people are not hungry for literature. All people are not fond of reading books. Your desires may be different. You may be fond of motorcycle, you may be fond of mobile, you may be fond of watching movies. All are not fond of reading books. Right? Human mind, it basically prefers desires to dislikes. This is human tendency. We need satisfaction at any cost. Moreover, if you take it in terms of evil, then evil fascinates. And we are instinctual creatures. We all are instinctual creatures. Getting my point?
Yes.
And that's why we are guided by instincts and impulse. We are tempted towards the things which satisfy us. Right? So, normal human appetencies are biological need. purely biological needs like eating. It's a biological need, drinking, biological need, sleeping, biological need, and in some cases libido feelings, biological need. But literature is a kind of elevating tendency. It's a kind of elevating desire that provides the poise of mind, that provides, a kind of sublimity to mind, and it results in some elevating experience. It results in some, grand experience, satisfying experience. Clear?
Yes.
Actually, when he was at Oxford University, there he made an experimentation. What was the experimentation? He called a group of children, boys, students. He gave some poems to them, and he did not write the names of the authors of the poems. Right? He simply gave some poems without telling the names of the authors, and he commanded them to give their opinion about those poems. Points of appreciation or whatever they felt about. You know what were the results? Very shocking. Magazine poets, cheap poets, they were highly appreciated. And great poets like Hopkins and Donne, they were highly criticized. Everything that was ridiculous was praised, and everything that was grand, it was ridiculed. Why? Appetencies and aversion. And majority of the students, they gave same shocking results. I hope you are getting the point.
Yes.
Majority of the students, they gave the same shocking result. Means, established poets who had great reputation and whose poems are really good poems, they were criticized, highly criticized. And cheap and magazine poets, they were highly praised. Because they wrote something which was satisfying to their minds. Today, you read two books. One is a classical book, where you can find a message, where you can find good language, where you can find that everything has been written in a grand way. It has a cosmic message. It has so many things. On the other hand, you find a cheap book where there is only entertainment and entertainment and entertainment. Literature is not meant for. Did you know?
Yes.
So, it was, due to the impulses of appetences and aversion. Is that clear?
Yes.
If you remember, he also wrote a book, The Meaning of Meaning, in collaboration with Morgan. There also, he talked about meaning of scientific language and the meaning of poetic language. So poetic language is the language of some purpose. Scientific language is also the language of purpose, but there you cannot have the manipulation of words. There you cannot have a play on the words. There you cannot work like a juggler. There you will have to keep the point directly. But in the poetic language, the more indirect you are, the more you behave like a juggler, the greater poet you will be. Getting my point?
Yes.
If you use pun, if you use irony, if you use paradox, poetry will be great. Shelley is a great poet, but in comparison to Donne, he is much, much inferior. Why? Because Donne has used irony, satire, and wit. And Shelley, he has written, from the viewpoint of the light or even for the sake of time. Is that clear?
Yes.
So this is something about IA rituals. I hope it is clear to you.
Yes.
And see, You have other new critics also. If you wish, then in a day, I can take an online class. In a day, I can talk about all slightly. Otherwise, you can go to that channel, there all the critics are there. Alan Tate is there, John Robinson is there, Clive Brooks is there, right? And William Emerson Jones, it's up to you.
So we can clear in online class.
I think already there are so many audio lectures. So you can listen to them. I think I have simplified it. I feel this formalism is good. Okay. New criticism has certain limitations. At the same time, formalism also had certain limitations. The first limitation is that it ignored the biographical information of the author at the time, and for a number of people, in absence of these externalities, a book cannot be judged. Right? You cannot evaluate Hamlet properly without going to the life of the book. Love and Sense Mercy, a beautiful lady without mercy. Now, if you don't touch the life of John Keats, you can never evaluate the true meaning of the book. Right? So it's only after going through the biography of John Keats that you can come to know that the lady who cheated him in the poem, it was none other than Fanny Brawley, who cheated him in his real life. Getting my point?
Yes.
So this is the first weakness of, and this is the major limitation of formalism, because it does not take into consideration the externalities. So proper judgment is not. The other limitation is that it is more applicable on a poem or on some show, on epic, on play. I mean, it is applicable, but not that much. Getting the point?
Yes.
And the last limitation may be, in new criticism and in the Russian, in formalism, there is the concept of clause reading. And when you make a clause reading, then you have to focus on some individual words. And this is not possible when you analyze a long work. It means again you are writing a thesis, not a research paper, not something that is critical or evaluated. Clear? I think this is all. I have tried to simplify the things. What is next? So, जो भी तुम थियरी पढ़नी हो